All right, everybody, the big five. Welcome to Motor City Chirps. Again, episode five. Today, we will be going over the Tigers and their recent success. What? Yeah, you heard that right. Um, we will be going over what the hell is going on with Michigan basketball in the draft. And we'll throw in some NBA playoffs there at the end. Not going to be a super long episode today. Are you sure about that? But these are topics we want to touch on.
Yeah.
So, Brendan, if you want to start us off with the Tigers.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to start off with saying happy June 2nd. It is the 12-year anniversary of what took place at Comerica Park.
I didn't even know what you were talking about at first, but now I know.
June 2nd, 12 years ago. Armando Galarraga got screwed out of a perfect game, screwed out of history. It is the worst day ever, every year, to be on Twitter, because you see the video every year. I would even say, because obviously I'm a diehard Michigan fan as well. Pete the Hat, shout out my dad, took it from his collection downstairs. Obviously I'm a bigger Tigers fan. I would say number one, like, video that makes you kind of cringe, like, I can't believe that happened, is the Galarraga perfect game. And then number two, very, very close behind, is the fumbled, the muff punt, Michigan State. Everybody knows what happened there.
Can I just say that one, the Michigan one, is the worst one for me. And I told you this when we were at the Tigers game, I think it was. I've always said about the Galarraga incident is the fact that, like, everybody knows he got the perfect game. Like, everybody knows it was very clear as day. Jim Joyce
just
knows.
it just has an asterisk by it.
Right. And it's the fact that he knows that he accomplished it, not on paper, he didn't accomplish it on paper, but he really did accomplish a perfect game. He did what, a 28 out perfect game, technically.
Yeah.
And it's something that's going to be talked about forever, as all the perfect games that have happened. His is one of the more, well, his isn't one, but his story comes up often, especially since it's still kind of recent, but because it was such a wild thing that happened, that he is in the history books for that. So that, along with the fact that everybody knows he really did do it, if I'm him, I'm not really pissed in that sense, because it's kind of like it's a crazy thing to tell your kids and your grandkids too. And what I told you at the game was I'd rather have his situation than I'm going for the last out. And so let's just say ground ball and the whole thing happens again, and the runner's really safe, but the ump calls him out and you get the perfect game.
I see what you're saying.
That would eat away at me, man, like being like, man, I didn't really get a perfect game. Like, the ump called it, it's on paper, sure, but I know in my heart I didn't really get it. I'd rather have Galarraga's actual situation than the one I just talked
understand
about.
that. I mean, ideally, Jim Joyce just calls him out, game over.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Celebration.
At the end of the day, yeah, for
and
sure.
Like, I always think about it like this way too, which is stupid. I shouldn't think about this because, obviously Galarraga, the average Tiger fan knows the story, knows it. Even the average MLB fan knows exactly what happened. But just that one day, a stranger approaches him and he says, "Who are you? I see a lot of people taking pictures with you." And he says, "Oh, I'm Armando Galarraga. I threw a perfect game. I played for the Tigers for years." And then that stranger walks away and he's like, "Oh, this guy, let me Google him." And he Googles, he's like, "He never threw a perfect game. Why would you just lie about that?" And then he sees the video and he goes, Oh,
that's why.
That's what happened.
He has the most outs in perfect game history.
Yeah, you can look at it that way, honestly. I'm going to look at it that way from here on out. Yeah, did you know Armando Galarraga threw 28 outs? Never before done, ever. Don't Google it because it won't exist. But
And with replay technology and shit like that, it'll probably never happen again. Though
So
they
here's the
don't get
thing:
those right all the
replay
time.
with replay technology, I have this like rational fear that replays used in that situation back in 12 years ago, and they still call them safe because there's always that chance, right?
Well, yeah. What just happened the other day? Was it Hill? Remember he slid into home
Yeah,
and he didn't
yeah,
even get
he was
touched, and
safe.
they still called him out.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like,
Take it. The
imagine,
situation for Galarraga, that I mean, he was clearly out. Like not even.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I understand the whole slow mo, watch the feet, the ball's in the mitt before the foot's on the bag. I get that. But if you're just watching the play happen in real time, he's out. And like, I understand the whole, like you mentioned earlier, like they call him out. In reality, he's safe. If I'm Marmot, I don't give a fuck. Just call them out. I got a perfect game. I could care less what anybody else thinks. But it happened the way it did, and we didn't have the technology back then, so it kind of just like it happened. And every year we get to get reminded of it. He gets to get reminded of it, and it's
Yeah, and like I was saying, if it was me in his shoes and it was the situation where the runner gets like it was if it was flipped, like the runner gets called
right.
out when he was really safe, like I brought up earlier, I wouldn't give a fucking shit about what anybody else is thinking. I'm just in my own head. I'm like, I didn't really accomplish this crazy thing that would be
Yeah,
such
but
a cool
like,
thing to accomplish.
right. I understand
Just
that.
the way I am, like knowing that would eat
Yeah,
away at me. Like I wouldn't care about what anybody else is fucking thinking. I'm just in my own head. I'm like, man.
yeah,
So in his real situation, like knowing that, man, I really did that. The ump just made the biggest blunder ever.
right.
It sucks, but like I still did a really cool thing. I know I did it. People
Well,
can
you
say
could
what they
also
want.
you could also think about it, a different way too. Like the fact that it happened the way it did, where Jim Joyce called him safe when he was out. It's got so much media attention where everybody reminds everybody every year, like, remember, guys, this happened, and it's got so much of this attention. Whereas flipped, I feel like it just wouldn't really be talked about. Like people would just be like, yeah, he threw a perfect game. No one would like question because you question like, oh, he made the wrong call. He was out. That's history. That's a perfect game. But if it was flipped, you recognize the history, perfect game. No one's gonna be like, oh yeah, if you look at it, he was safe. He got a hit. It doesn't matter. They're up like 5-0. So like no one's gonna look back at it that way and be like, hey, I don't know. He might have been he was actually safe because no one's gonna care. But it's the roles are reversed. We're cursed. Didn't mean to rhyme. Dr. Seuss. I don't even know what to say. I mean, it's
Anyways,
like, anyways,
anyway.
I was going to transition, but it didn't come naturally.
No, sometimes Dr. Seuss makes a mental block in everyone's mind.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, so what do you think about how they're doing right now? I mean, they've been winning frequently, beating the Twins.
I had to scratch it out in my notes because I wrote we've won 6 of our last 8. And then we won 2 hours ago before we were recording this. And we won 7 of the last 9. So everything's working as intended. Like that's the best way I can put it. Our pitching is doing what our pitching has done all year. Putting up zeros, ones, twos, whatever. Not letting the opponents kind of mash. You have those games here and there, but for the most part, they've been shutting things down. Now the offense is coming alive a little bit more. Granted, we are scoring, 4, 3, 5 runs, which is not a lot, but when you have a pitching staff that's just shutting the door, that's all you can ask for. Where at the beginning of the season, we were throwing up 1s and 2s, our pitching staff was, and our offense was just throwing up zeros. And I understand, it's like one of those things, like me and Zach talk all about, about it all the time with defense winning championships. Your offense wins championships. You know why? Because you have to score runs to win the game. And when you have 0, doesn't matter how well your pitching is, you're not going to win. And like perfectly, the Cincinnati Reds situation, they throw a no-hitter and they still lose. How's that possible? Because they didn't hit.
Right. Yeah.
So
we talked about it before. You
right.
can have fantastic pitching, but at the end of the day, you don't score, you're not winning a championship.
Right.
You're not going to win a lot of games in general. I mean, look at poor Verlander knows more than anybody that he should have way more wins than he does because the Tigers, for whatever reason, could never hit when he was pitching.
And when you look at the last 9 games too, we won 7 out of the last 9. The 2 games we lost, the Twins put up 8 and the Guardians put up 8 as well. So, I mean, that goes to show you, like, when other teams put up 7, 8, we have 0 chance because, we're putting up zeros. I think we scored 1 run in each of those games. But when our pitching staff is on, which it has been most of the year, you hold teams to 1 or 2 runs. All your offense has to do is get 3 around the, across home plate and you win.
Right.
And that's exactly what they've been doing.
The pitching and the defense is all about giving your team a chance to win. But at the end of the day, the offense has to put the nail in the coffin.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to.
Perfect way to put it.
My thing with them lately is, we're beating teams that usually smack the shit out of us. But it's just not enough. It's too small of a sample size for me to say anything about anything getting turned around. I'm not convinced of a single thing. If they can just overall give it a month, if they are playing not even like good, but if they're playing just, close to what they've been doing the past week and a half, then sure, maybe the team's starting to come around. But at this moment right now, like I'm not convinced of anything. It could just be the Twins are just in a slump. Cleveland's just being weird. It's Cleveland in general. Cleveland's got kind of a strange team this year.
I think Ohio in general is kind of weird.
That's an understatement.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I need to see more,
I agree.
So
I definitely agree. But good teams do what the Tigers did on their homestand. Good teams win at home.
Tigers have done that all year. Yeah.
And I mean, winning 7 of their last 9 at home against 2 division rivals, that's exactly what you want. And I mean, I know we went to one of the games, but we, a couple weeks ago, we swept Baltimore. Okay. Baltimore's not very good. But then you come and you play a Cleveland team who always gives you trouble, and their offense is, always produces. And then a Twins team who's first in the Central, one of the best teams in baseball, and you win 4 out of 5 in a 5-game series against the Twins. I mean, that's a W no matter what. I mean, even the 4th game was kind of like an addition. Daz Cameron hit a 2-run homer in the 8th inning today to take the lead, and then
Cameron's of all been people, something lately.
I know. Out of all people, Gregory Soto shut the door. That psychopath. This kid gives my heart rate up to 120 every time he takes him out.
I mean, at least that.
Anyway.
But yeah, I'm not convinced, but I still am. I'm holding hope on that turnaround.
See, I have a good analogy for the way you're feeling, because I know I feel the same way in some aspects.
Depressed.
And I could be more depressed. That's the best way I can put it. But here's my analogy. And this probably won't make sense, but in my mind it does. But I got to really explain what I'm doing here. So the Tigers team, the 2022 Detroit Tigers, I picture it like you and your friends are going out on a boat. You're going out on the lake, fishing, whatever you're doing, you're going out on a boat. You get about 20 yards away from the dock, and someone realizes, like, oh, there's a hole in the boat. We should probably turn back to the dock. I got all my tools there. I can fix it, and, we'll be good to go. And, that one guy says, no, we're fine. We got some duct tape in the boat. We're just going to slap that on the hole. We'll be completely fine. And so you do that. You keep on sailing and sailing, and more water's coming in. And someone says, hey, I don't think the duct tape's working. Let's stop over there at this dock and get it fixed for real. It's like the Tigers. They started off awful. The hole is there. Someone says, hey, we got an option. We can, do this, this, and this. Our offense can do this and this, and we'll win ball games. And they're like, no, we're good. We're just going to use this duct tape, our pitching staff, plug up the hole. We'll be fine. Oh, yeah. Our pitching staff's given up 2 runs, 3 runs. Doesn't matter. Our offense is still sinking the boat. And then finally, you get to safety and you can fix it. And the offense is starting to do better. The pitching staff is still doing fine. It's that duct tape that's barely holding it up. But you could have fixed this issue before you even left the dock. But you decided, hey, let's just roll it out and see what happens. So I think it's a little too late. Whereas trying to get with my analogy is like, I understand, baseball is such a streaky game. It's like very, very inconsistent how, teams, offenses produce, pitching staffs produce. I understand that. But when you play the way they did towards like the beginning, middle of the start of the season, when you're making 4 to 5 errors a game, putting up 2 hits, and your pitching is keeping you in every single ball game you play. I mean, and now you're starting to come around. And I'm not saying by any means it's too late. I mean, we're beginning of June. We're not even, we're a month away from the All-Star break. But in the back of my head, I keep thinking like, why didn't we do this before? Why did it take us this long to figure things out? Because this last 9-game stretch is exactly how I envisioned the 2022 Tigers to be. Losing a couple games, here and there, but they're winning series. They're playing competitively, and they're winning ball games. And they've done that the last, 9 games. But where was that 3 weeks ago when we had 3 errors a game and we weren't even playing competitively?
See, I thought with the duct tape you were talking about, that's what they were using to fix our guys' injuries.
I mean, that's also another thing. Like the fact that we've been able to do this little 9-game stretch with how many guys we have in the IL is unbelievable.
But
I mean, from last time we talked about them, they've added 3 more guys to IL. How is it even possible?
And what, Mize is on the 60-day?
Mize is, I say this like, I know I'm being negative, and I know, there's a little light at the end of the tunnel I should be looking at, but I'm a Tigers fan, so that naturally I don't do that.
Right.
Mize is going to be done for the year, in my opinion.
Yeah. No,
I think there's some Tommy John, there's some issue that they're going to figure out in a couple weeks where they're like, we're going to shut this guy down for the rest of the year. I just know it's going to happen.
There's no point in pushing anything with him.
Right.
Like,
and I just think there's something actually wrong, because even before the whole injury happened, his few starts before were awful. He couldn't get out of like the first 2 innings. Yeah. His control was all over the place. His fastballs were flat. He was getting peppered. So like, I think there is something wrong a little bit before the fact, but regardless, I think he's going to be shut down.
Kind of comparing that to what you said of why did it take us so long to show any type of success at all? Kind of like him in the fact that we got a lot of guys that don't know how to win yet.
Yeah.
We got guys that have came from other, we got veterans, right? We literally have Miggy too, but what in the fuck is this? Need more time? Zoom Pro provides unlimited meetings and more. Your meeting will end in 10 minutes.
Oh shit. I remember this. I had the same issue when I was doing Zoom. There's a time limit on all the video on Zoom unless you have the Pro. But I think
how did we do that? You have it?
I think so.
We'll just continue on yours.
All right.
What the hell were we talking about? There was a stupid Zoom issue about not having the Pro version. Sorry, Zoom.
We were getting the doomsday countdown in the top left. We had 10 minutes to live.
Brendan's account.
Yeah. We're talking about, so anyway, I'll keep it brief on the rest of the Tiger stuff. Keep playing like they're playing. We'll be great. I mean, watching Tarek Skubal every 5th start is one of the best pitchers I've seen in a long time. Dude is nasty. 2.515 ERA, top 10 in the MLB. Should be in the Cy Young conversation if he keeps doing what he's been doing. A dude that has 5 pitches and he uses them all 20 to 25% of the time is going to have success. He can throw all 5 of his pitches for strikes. He can throw all 5 of his pitches whenever the fuck he wants. The dude is nasty. He has filth. And I think he's going to be an ace for a long time. 9th round pick. Just want to point that out there. Your first overall pick is sitting over there holding his elbow with an ice pack. So I just want to point that out too.
Do you think it's easy to say he's by far and large our best player?
Yes. Pitching wise, yes. He's got the most talent. He's got the highest ceiling. I mean, what he's doing now in his that 3rd year, I mean, is unbelievable. He's carried this rotation. He just shut out a team yesterday that is one of the best offenses in baseball. He's got nasty, nasty stuff, man. And I just want to point out another thing too, because we talked about him in the past. I think Jonathan Scope woke up out of his coma. I think a little, I think Prince Charming kissed him and woke him up, because this dude has been unreal. The past 7 games, he's hitting 360. He's got a 640 slugging percentage and 7 RBIs. All 7 RBIs have come in the last 3 games. Stupid. Get a guy like that to keep producing. You get Meadows back from vertigo, whatever the hell he's dealing with. I think we're gonna keep these wheels turning. And my ultimate goal is to get to, I'm not gonna say 500, but to get within 5 games of 500 baseball by the All-Star break. I think that's a W.
My ultimate goal is for people to just go to the games more.
That would be also up there.
Make an entertaining product enough for there to be more than.
Yeah,
the doubleheader the other day had 24,000 fans for both games combined. So it was like, I think it was 24,000. I don't know, it was somewhere around there. So it was like 12 and 12 each game, or so I think the second game had less people though. So
I'll say it again.
That's terrible.
I'll say it again. If I didn't work full time, I would be at every single Tigers game, hands down. So no excuses.
But anyways, let's talk just briefly, because this is too infuriating, about Michigan basketball and what's been going on with 2 of their players specifically. We got, who is it? Caleb Houston
and Musa.
Yeah.
Diabate.
So they had already declared for the draft a while back, which nowadays that's not the end all be all. I mean, you can always, what do you say, undeclare or whatever the term is.
Once you go through all the combine and the workouts, you can kind of, you can say like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go back. I'm going to remove my name.
Right.
But once you lock in, you're locked in.
So, in a sense, I can see why a super young kid is going to think they're good enough to go to the draft. But now that they've had time for it to marinate and to see everything that's going on, and they have both stated that they are staying in the draft, I think this is just asinine. It's so stupid. Yeah. Neither of these guys in the first place were anything close enough to be one and dones.
Coming in, they were projected to be.
Well, yeah, coming in, yeah, sure. But that doesn't mean shit. It's about what you actually do on the court. Neither of these guys is anything impressive whatsoever. I'm sorry. Like, am I glad that they're on our team? Yeah, but like, was I disappointed by their play this season? Oh, yeah. Their numbers were not good. I mean, in a sense of guys that look like they could be something decent. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Their numbers weren't, their numbers weren't good, but they weren't awful. But for a one and done, what are we doing here? This goes back to what I was talking about. Me and you recorded something. I don't know if it's something that was cut for time in one of our episodes, but I remember telling you that one of the biggest issues with the NBA right now is it's full of guys that left college way too early. The product has way too many young guys that just aren't ready yet.
Mhm.
And they think they're hot shit and they get to the league and they get demolished by these 30-year-olds.
I agree.
It's just
Yeah, I mean, I did not see, like Zach said, for them both to go to the draft, just to put their name in, kind of feel it out. Totally get that. I think every player should have the opportunity to do that.
yeah, that's
Uh,
fine to,
to get
feel it
to get that
out.
experience at the higher level, guys that you're going to be competing against in the NBA. Now, I will back up Musa, not because of the play last year, because he was good, but he could have been better. I will
Yeah.
back him up though. A guy like that, how athletic he is, and being 6'11", I think they said he had the lowest body fat percentage out of any single person at the combine.
Which isn't necessarily a good thing.
Not the worst thing in the world,
When
not the
you're
best thing in the
7 feet
world.
tall and you weigh 200 pounds, not necessarily a good thing. I
But
like
as
like
far as like from a athleticism standpoint,
yeah,
I can
sure he's
understand. I
athletic.
can understand teams wanting to take a chance on a guy like that later in the first round, early second round. I think he has a pretty high ceiling. You know,
No,
being
they
he's got to learn how to
listen.
shoot.
They both have high ceilings. That's fine. I'm not saying necessarily both of these guys are going to be duds. I'm speaking of it, you know, I'm speaking of it like concedingly like I want Michigan basketball to be really good and I want us to be consistently good. And look at our team, for the regular season this season, it was like, are we even going to make the tournament? When you're a program that's just constantly building one and dones, that can be a good thing, but it can also be a really bad thing because Michigan doesn't tend to get. I know we've had like really high rated draft classes, but
We're not known. We
we're
don't really
not
have one and dones.
we're not Kentucky, we're not
Right.
Duke, we're not one of those programs that's just going to really make just year after year one and done, one and done, one and done. We're not getting those players. Like I get the draft class ratings and all that, but we're not getting those super duper stars.
Yes.
You need to look at it as look at like a school like Gonzaga where they always just build their guys for more than one season and that team is always a contender at the beginning of the season. Like, what are the odds this team's going to be the championship team? Gonzaga is one of those teams they're going to be one of the higher percentages.
Yeah.
Michigan is not a school like Kentucky or Duke. We should thrive to be a school like Gonzaga. We should thrive to build these guys up, you know, at least 2 years, but I mean, 3 years would be cool. But there's just too many guys that just think
Well,
they're the super duper stars, and it's
right.
fucking up college basketball. It's fucking up the NBA.
And
It's
like to your point that you just said about, 2 years, third would be nice as well. If we're talking about superstars, Hunter Dickinson is the superstar in basketball, has been for the past 3 years, and he's coming back
and
for a
he's
third
coming
season.
back. Yeah.
So that's what I don't understand. When you have a guy like Hunter Dickinson, the like not trying to, not trying to be facetious, like the center of your team, literally the center, and he's coming back when he was going to be a top 10, top 20 pick potentially. He
Oh,
says,
for
I'm going to
sure.
come back
For
for another
sure.
come back for another year. And you're sitting there as two freshmen who are top five in their
Thinking
class.
you're better than fucking Hunter. I'm not saying they think that, but just thinking
Right.
you're even in the
But
same category as
but
Hunter.
just like the fact that, and I'm not saying they're chasing money, but you're like, I'm going to go test the waters in the NBA. You're not going to play in their first year. One, two, they could have came back to an even better Michigan basketball team than last year, who still made it to the Sweet 16 after a terrible regular season. And three, this was the whole point of the NIL. Like,
Right.
why would you
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 could
know,
still
like,
make money.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And
If you want to go to the league so bad because you see those zeros and you're sitting there like, this is going to change my life, this is going to change my family's life, I totally get that. I am not going to knock that whatsoever.
right.
But when you have that same opportunity, obviously not on the level of the NBA pay
But still on a
scale,
pretty
but
good fucking level.
if you have that same agreement that you can now do in the NIL, whether it's, being an ambassador for different local brands, making stupid TikTok videos, whatever it is, you can get paid for your name. That's the whole point of the name, image, and likeness. And the fact that you're like, if this was 2 years ago when it didn't exist, sure, go to the league, make your money. I will not knock that. But when you have that same option when you come back to college for your second year, when you could be on a championship team, I don't understand it.
Still in the fact too, like I think a lot of people look at it in the sense that, well, I don't want to ruin my entire career or my entire, chance of being in the pros because of an injury.
Right.
I get that. I completely get that. But at the same time, you're still creating a risk because if you're not just not ready, but if you're clearly not ready, like both these guys, especially Houston, it's
that one is what frustrates me the most.
yeah.
Musa, whatever, I get that. You can
Musa,
work into a
I
system
get
somewhere.
more, but I
Caleb
still
Houston,
think
man,
he's doing
after the year he had, that just
anyways.
makes no sense to me.
Continue. Like when you're just so clearly not ready, the risk you're creating is you're getting into a completely different animal. Like, yeah, college basketball players are phenomenal. NBA players shit on college players every day of the week. You're creating the risk of not like a huge development issue. You get there and you're just not able to develop because you're just so far back.
Right.
Yeah, you can get better, but you could also it's going to be easier to get better at basketball against the college guys than it is against the NBA guys. It's like if you're ready for the NBA, that's a different thing, but it's a huge risk too. You could be ruining your career by that. You might be giving yourself zero chance to really make a roster. Whereas if you wait just an extra year, get better in college, now you try next year, you're that much better of a player. Boom, you could have a starting spot right away.
And you look like a guy like Hunter Dickinson. His freshman year was phenomenal. He's the best player on the team. His sophomore year, phenomenal. And guess what? He added a jump shot. He started shooting threes. He started shooting from the free throw line. He was making shots. They're like, this guy can shoot now too. Not only can he post up anybody, he can shoot, gets boards, whatever. So
Right.
like, oh, he's added another tool for sure going to the league. And he said, no, I want to come back again.
Right. Which that aspect plus what you already said about the money aspect, if you're a better player, your draft stock goes up.
You and guess what else goes money? Up? Your paycheck.
Yeah, you want to talk about making money? Like, you can make so much more money.
I don't get it, man.
It's wild, man. Everybody thinks they're just elite, and that's fine. You should think that your ceiling is unlimited. You should think that, but at the same time, don't ruin your shit because of your own ego. Have an ego, but don't let it destroy you.
Exactly. I'm gonna get too fired up about this topic. I think we should move on. Yeah, stick in the basketball realm, but I'm still like, when I read both of them, I actually had a friend text me. He's from Illinois. He's an Illinois fan. Shout out. I said Illinois. Shout out Sox. I know you're watching. He texted me updates about Michigan basketball just because he's such like a college basketball head. And he texted me, Musa declared for the draft. And I said, damn,
right.
Thought it might have came, whatever. And then like 5 minutes later, he texted me, Caleb Houston also declared for the draft. And I just texted him back. I said, what the fuck? Why?
Why? Makes no sense. That's the question. Why?
So whatever. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, sticking with basketball. We finally have the NBA Finals. And before we touch on that, I want to continue to rant about basketball in general. And that is, I told you I had a statistic to bring up. And again, this is another thing. I don't know if it was part of that same spiel we were going on that might have gotten cut for time in one of our prior episodes, but me and Brendan had talked about the playoff product of the NBA being like mega dog doo doo right now. Like, you look at how the NFL playoffs went this past season, you look at how the current NHL playoffs are going. They're really good products. You got close games going down to the wire, crazy shit. Then there's the NBA where it is just blowout after blowout after blowout. And this was like late last week, like Thursday or something, I think it was. And I saw that 61%, and it's not going to be far off from 61 now because it's only been, I think, a few more games. But 61% of the playoff games were ending in blowouts. And my definition of a blowout is, double digit victory with like 10 points. And there were quite a few that were won by like 9 points too. But 61%, 10 points or more margin of victory. And it goes to show what we were saying about the NBA is the first quarter entertaining, and then nothing until the second half of the third quarter. And then I think by that point, it's determined if there's going to be a game or not at the end. Because one team typically by that point is so fucking far ahead. It's like,
right.
Why watch the rest of this game?
I think we can all agree as sports fans that the second quarter of an NBA game, you could blindly watch and you could not care.
Right.
It matters zero about the end of the game. It is the least production out of any four quarters. And it's just like, why even watch it? You come out hot, you get to the second quarter, nobody cares. Usually it's both benches playing each other. And you get to half, and then it's all starters the rest of the way. And like the beginning of the third quarter is also like a little shaky, but then once you get the fourth quarter on, it's fun. Regular season, whatever. Playoffs, if that's happening in the playoffs, I can find 55 other things I'd rather do than sit through an NBA playoff game that's a 20-point blowout.
And I don't even know about that. I think it's just like, because I don't even know statistically like numbers through the quarters and shit. I just know that what can happen in like the second quarter and into the beginning of the second half is like a team can pull away so far that there's no chance at all for the other team to come back.
Right.
And that's a multitude of issues in general. But it's just the fact that the way the game is with just offense, you're seeing that so much more frequently than we used to, where teams are just getting these catastrophic leads that it's like, well, that's it. Unless it's like Golden State with their third quarter psycho shit that they've been pulling off the past 10 years. But it's something they got to figure out, man.
Yeah.
It's not something that a lot of people want to watch, including both of us.
Yeah, so that segues perfectly into the NBA Finals. That's happening tonight, I guess.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this the next day, you've already watched game one.
Yeah.
Whatever. But
what are your feelings? What are your predictions?
So I'll go to my predictions in a second. I just want to make this point. This is probably in however long I can remember. When it comes to sports, obviously I try to keep up to date on everything. This is the first year I can remember where I'm like, oh, the NBA Finals start tonight. Cool. Like to the point where I don't even think I'm going to watch it. Like I have just been that non-invested in the NBA this year specifically.
Same.
And watching some of the playoff games, because usually, not interested in the NBA regular season. Pistons drop out of it in the first 2 months. So then I lose all interest. And the playoffs come around, I'm like, oh, this is a good series. I'm definitely going to watch a game or two. This year it's extended into the playoffs, into the postseason.
Right. And it sucks too for me specifically, and I'm sure a lot of people, because like for a time, NBA basketball was my favorite shit to watch. It was my favorite sport to watch for a long time. and I just don't give a shit anymore. It's such a lousy fucking sport
It
to
is.
watch.
It's
It's
lazy, man.
not competitive. There's
It's
no
just,
defense.
yeah.
Ugh.
So, on to my prediction. I really like the Celtics.
Yeah, who you got though?
I'm gonna be flat out here. I really like the Celtics. I like Jason Tatum a lot. I like Jaylen Brown. Defense is phenomenal. Rob Williams is phenomenal. I really like the Celtics. Really like them. But
Oh Christ.
this is the Golden State Warriors.
Right.
They haven't been in contention the past 2 years. There's got to be there's got to be a lot
hard.
there's got to be a lot of reasons to talk me out of the Warriors in 6. Now, the Boston Celtics, I do think make it competitive. I think each game is going to be close. I don't think there's going to be a blowout in this series. If there is, I think only one game. But
I agree with
I think
that.
it's going to be.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good series. I think Warriors can win game 1. Who's home? Who's home first?
Don't ask
You
me.
know? Yeah, I don't even know. Whatever it is, it doesn't even matter. Boston lost.
What do you think the series is going to finish in?
6.
6? I
think
agree.
The Warriors are going to win in 6. I think the Warriors are going to win the first game. I'm going to say in dominant fashion, but I'm not going to say blowout. I think they're just going to kind of cruise. I think the Celtics are going to tie 1-1. I think the Warriors are going to go up 2-1. I think the Celtics are going to tie it 2-2. I think the Warriors are going to win game 5. And then we're going to get game 6 Clay. And the Warriors are going to win in 6.
I agree with the series going 6 games. However, I do actually think the Celtics will pull it off. I really do.
I hope they do. I hope they do.
I feel like for most basketball fans in general, if you want what's best for the sport, you should be rooting for the Celtics.
Correct.
And here's my thing on that, which is kind of like a double-edged sword, is the Warriors have given us like some of the best team basketball that we've ever seen. And I think that's great for the sport. I think that's phenomenal. But they are the reason, specifically because of Curry, but not just him, but they are the reason for the shit product that we've been given today. They really are. With the super duper teams and the 3 balls from the half court and the fucking, they're the reason for that.
Kicking each other in the nuts.
God, Draymond. But again, it's the double-edged sword. You can't hate them because it's not their fault they built such a phenomenal, dynasty. But I want the sport to change. I don't want to see any more of this stupid shit. And just on the aspect too of like not really caring about either of these franchises in general, like, yeah, the Celtics got 17 championships total. But just because of recency bias, I'm just sick of the Warriors in that aspect. So like
that too, and like also recency bias. I mean, the Celtics haven't made the finals in a long time. Or when's the last time when they had Big 3? Am I wrong? Did they ever make it when they had Kyrie?
No, it's been straight up LeBron and the Warriors, and yeah.
So that's what I'm excited. I'm excited for a change.
Yeah.
Obviously last year was, Bucks, Suns. That was different. But I do like the Celtics team. Like I said, they keep it close. Maybe one blowout, and I think it's tonight. Well, that's my prediction. I think the Warriors win easily.
Tonight. But yeah, what you're saying.
But the rest of the series, I think, is going to be pretty close.
I don't really have any predictions for how any of the games are going. I just I do think it's going to end in 6. But why I think the Celtics are going to win is the Celtics. If there's any team that can really do more than anybody else against the style of the Warriors offense, I think it's the Celtics because of their perimeter defense.
I agree.
But
I agree.
the main thing, and this is what's going to be so crucial for the Celtics to win, is what we've seen throughout the playoffs so far is Jason Tatum has to be that dude. He just has to do it. If he doesn't show up any game he's not showing up, and I'm talking about he's got to give you like at the least
30,
no, not that crazy because the Celtics got a good team.
50.
At the least, I don't want to go under 24. Maybe he can get away with them winning with a 23-point game. I mean, he's got to be doing a lot of other shit. But,
Pretty exact number.
23, 24 points. If he's not scoring that at the least for every game, and he should, with the kind of scorer he is, he should be given more up around 30 on average. Give us a couple 40-point games. He has to do that because what we've seen is when he's not doing that, they lose the games, these playoff games. So he's got to be the guy. It's time.
Yeah.
He knows he can do that. He knows that's a role he's destined to do. He's just got to be that guy. And if he is that guy, the Celtics will beat the Warriors in 6 because when the Celtics are cruising, when you add in that aspect of Tatum, I don't think the Warriors can stop that.
Yeah.
I think they got all the tools, but I think in general to be that championship team still, but
and I was on the same camp as you all day today. Celtics, thinking of ways they could win, right? And with everything you just said, I thought about already. Like before you even said it, I was like, their perimeter defense, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, if they play out of their minds, this is a series they can and should win. But is the Golden State Warriors. They have Steph Curry, who can shoot lights out. They have Andrew Wiggins, who can play lights out. They have Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Jordan Poole. They have so many guys that can shoot 60% from the field that if one of them goes cold, it doesn't matter because you have 4 other guys.
Right. At the end of the day, you got to watch the Warrior. You got to beat the guys at the top of the hill. I know they haven't won, recently, but they're still, now that everybody's healthy and back again, it's still the Warriors.
And I think another reason I really like the Celtics is I think they're going to dominate in the paint. Rob Williams is going to dominate. Who I can't even think of.
Well, the thing with they got Horford, and when that dude for whatever reason just elevates his game, like
right
with that's the greats when he gets to the playoffs.
Rob Williams is one of the best defenders in the NBA, and I don't think the one thing that Golden State's been lacking for even through their dynasty was a big man, and their star big man's been hurt all year, and so I think the Celtics can dominate in the paint, and I understand they can play perimeter defense, so that they're kind of covering all bases. Steph Curry's going to find a way to shoot over you. Klay Thompson's going to find a way to shoot over you. Jordan Poole's going to find a way to shoot over you. It's just going to happen, and I think it's just going to dominate the series, and I think the defense will be there. It's going to limit them in some points, but at the same time, you can't stop all five guys at once. And
here's what I'll say.
It's hard for me to get off the ladder of
the
Warriors are the best.
Again, they're at the top of the hill. Yeah.
Right.
Here's what I'll say. Klay, I don't think Klay is going to do what he used to do. I think he's still really good. He's going to get consistently mid-teens for points a game. He'll probably have a game or two where he might be the leading scorer of the game. Yeah.
Game 6.
He might be the leading scorer of the game, but I don't think he is what he was. Draymond's not what he was. Poole, we don't even know what he's going to do. I mean, yeah, great improvement, but we haven't seen a damn thing of what he's going to do in the NBA playoffs, especially the finals, consistently. So
finals for sure. Playoffs, he's been playing pretty lights out.
I'm talking mostly about the finals.
Yeah, that's fair.
Such a young career. We got to see playoffs too. I hope. Love Poole, but
yeah.
So we can't really make a prediction on him. You'd think he'd play well, but again, we're going to see.
He's always an option. That's like
right,
that's
he's an
my
option.
point. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like he's a deadly option where
Wiggins. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say where, like he's a deadly option. Whereas if you're two shooters, your two splash
Right,
brothers
he
are having
doesn't
an
have to be
off
the number
night.
one guy.
Exactly.
He can
And I
fill
think
the spots.
Andrew Wiggins is in that camp still. He's still one of the most explosive players on the floor.
Yeah, what I'll say about Wiggins is he's kind of a toss-up because his whole career has been about having the ability to be one of the best players in the league, but not executing correctly. So I'm not confident if he's going to be good, like pretty average or bad. I don't know what he's going to do at
Yeah,
all.
I agree.
So if the Celtics are playing really well, everybody's playing well. For the Warriors to win, Steph Curry is going to have to do what I think a lot of people don't realize has been lacking from his game. And that's he has this thing about him where he's been blessed with his team being so damn. Listen, Steph Curry's one of the greatest players ever. He's the second best point guard to ever play the game. But he's been so lucky in the sense that his teams always have such crazy leads that not that much pressure gets put on him in situations. Whereas when his team has to come back, there's been many, many, many examples of him being nowhere to be found. There's been many a time where he hasn't made big shots when his team is down to give them the lead. If his team's up, oh, hell yeah.
Everything's falling.
If his team's up, he's making the shots. That's for sure. But when his team is down, there's been, especially when you get to the finals, late playoffs and the finals, I know he has made shots, but more times than not, especially in the finals, he doesn't make those shots or he won't even attempt the shots. He's kind of in that sense of what people used to say about LeBron, where doesn't make the shot, won't take the shot. We know that's always been bullshit about LeBron. I mean, his stats back it up. He has made those shots and can. But I think Curry needs to prove himself in that aspect. If that's
Clutch,
a
more
situation
clutch.
on the board, he's clutch, but he's not. I don't think he's as clutch as people pan him out to be.
I agree.
I think people are
agree.
just blinded by the fact that the Warriors have been so great. We need to see Curry make these shots. But at the end of the day, again, I don't think it's going to happen. I think Tatum's going to get that Finals MVP. And I will say about that aspect for Curry, Curry does deserve a Finals MVP. That shit with Iguodala getting that shit, dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
For another time, I could go in on that.
Doesn't even deserve any talk, and it's stupid. But yeah, so Curry's clutch. It's not like he doesn't show up. He's got phenomenal finals numbers, but they might face that situation where he has to make those shots now, and I haven't really seen him do that in the finals.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
we'll see,
I got Celtics.
It'll be a good
6.
series. I'll watch a few games this time. I promise.
I probably won't.
Yeah. I'll watch tonight. If tonight ends in a blowout, I won't watch the rest of the series.
Let me know how it goes.
I will. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty, slow week. Had to get the Tigers in there. A little NBA Finals preview, some Michigan news, but other than that, pretty light week. But as always, follow us on our socials at Motor City Chirps, Twitter, Instagram, what have you. Subscribe, like the video.
And we're gonna have
and send it to a friend. I want you to do that.
Share the video.
I want you to share this with your friend, whoever that might be. I want you to share it. Thanks.
And we're gonna have more like top 10 list things and whatnot.
And guests.
Yeah, and guests. We're trying to get somebody on right now. He had scheduling conflicts this week, but possibility he will be on for the next episode. But let us know.
Should I tease who it is?
No.
Ben Wallace.
No. We'll keep it a surprise. I'm sure some people will know who it is. But just from you saying Ben Wallace.
No, wait, we have Ben Wallace on the next show.
Oh, I thought you were just It's his favorite player ever, so that might be why. Well, I don't know actually. Is it his favorite player? It's got to be his favorite player.
We'll ask him. We'll ask
He's
him.
like the biggest Pistons fan in the world, so you'll
Yeah.
if you don't know by now, you just don't know him yet, but you will.
The biggest
Any-
Pistons fan, not named Zach Lipinski. I never thought I'd say that sentence ever in my life. For all my friends who know, they know.
But yeah, any top tens type of list you want us to do, doesn't even have to be sports related. We're just, we got the slow sports cities, so but we got a bunch of ideas already. But anything you guys want to see, let us know.
Yes. We'll see you next week. Have a good week. Hopefully the Tigers can, go to New York and sweep the Yankees, the best team in baseball.
I think it'll happen.
We'll leave it there.